Coming up today on Locked On Texas Tech, the Red Raiders remain in the Big 12 tournament, but do they do so with Chance McMillian out?
You are Locked On Texas Tech, your daily podcast on the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Great to be with you again on Locked On Texas Tech on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, always free and available on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts. And today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet hits. So visit FanDuel.com to get started. With the only Chris Level joining us from Kansas City, I'm Casey Cowan. Chris, great to be back with you, and thanks for squeezing in a little time today, as I know there's a whole lot going on, obviously near and far, and hopefully everybody back in West Texas is firmly staked to the ground. But we've got hoops on our minds, and it was a wild one last night. Certainly postseason feel is in the air, as we talked about on the last episode, and expecting a great one, probably one of the better ones going in the nation this evening. A third round between Texas Tech and Arizona. So a whole lot to get into. We'll get to the Wildcats and Red Raiders coming up in just a moment. Of course, we want to get to a personnel conversation, that being around Chance McMillian, who leaving the game last night is probably number one on that list. You mentioned it in a short reaction video that was on YouTube earlier today. But in general, the win over Baylor, kind of a surviving against Baylor, a tale of two different halves, and you pointed to that as well in your reaction, man. Just couldn't miss and then couldn't hit. So a unique one, but thankfully going down the right way, and ends with you advancing on to the next round.
Yeah, at some point, it doesn't matter how you get there; you just want to get there. But it's a weird dynamic in that you feel like you can't miss, and then like, okay, what do I do to get a make? But you, as I look at it, 12 threes in the first half, and then the second half you shoot 18% as a team. Just couldn't, I've seen, I had somebody, text me and go, "Hey man, can you just ask Grant, like, what's the deal against the zone? Like, did they not know?" Oh, yeah. You're going to be just fine. I think they might have a sneaking suspicion of how to attack a zone. Sometimes the shots just don't go in. And not having a key piece like McMillian, having some of your other guys in foul trouble like Kerwin and Elijah Hawkins, things like that, and Baylor's obviously pretty good at it, and with some serious athleticism on the floor as well. So, because you did make some of those threes against their zone in the first half too. Nobody, I guess, wants to point that out. But anyway, that's sports. You were not going to keep up that pace in the second half. Now, did it fall off way too much for everybody's liking? Sure. But you also figured out a way to get to the free throw line, and this is the beauty of having an inside piece like JT Toppin, because that and one dunk, which caused Omier to pick up his fourth foul, that was big time, and that was JT showing some serious emotion. I like it. I'm here for it. Give me more. Give me more. But yeah, I think I hate to say it like this, Cowan, and you may feel differently, and I've got a perspective that I think that Grant comes at this from, but I feel like now that you've come to Kansas City and won a game, mission accomplished. I just ultimately don't know what tangibly, other than a net and a championship trophy, and I don't want to diminish that at all because you've never been able to win that. I don't know how much you truly have to gain as far as the NCAA tournament goes, based on what you do tonight and potentially tomorrow as well. I don't think, though, that's how Grant will approach it. I think that he's been a coach that has been in these leagues as a head coach where you have to win these tournaments to get in. And so he knows no other way, and I don't see him approaching it any other way, right, wrong, or indifferent. And that's tonight may be a 3-point shooting contest, and then you try to see how many pieces you have left standing when it's over. But that's kind of what we're staring at tonight at 8:30 here at the T-Mobile Center in downtown KC.
There are going to be a lot of times where I like your shot at a 3-point shooting contest. So
Yeah.
I might be up for that once again. Will not be as bold if Chance McMillian is limited or unavailable. But before we get to Chance McMillian, I want to go back to what you're saying about the tournament in general following that win. I actually think the context, I don't know, maybe it's changed a little bit just over the last 24 to 48 hours, Chris, because if you're talking about guys being in and out possibly of your lineup like McMillian, or maybe it's a Darion Williams, or who knows what you maybe have to face as you continue to run through the postseason, could be something similar to what you faced during the regular season. I think it kind of stands out to me a little bit more so as some of these minutes maybe being more valuable, and whatever this next group of 5 or 6 or 7 that's utilized in this way will have available to them to help prepare for, maybe that possibility you'll be doing it again in the future. And I know we're talking about the postseason. You've had a ton of time to prepare for this guy or that guy to be out or to be limited or whatever the case may be. But, as we sit here again with a question mark around Chance McMillian, it just kind of reminds me of how valuable time on the floor is for guys whenever a lineup or a roster kind of gets shaken up a little bit. You'd hate to have an extreme shakeup with such an impactful player, say for the first time this time of year. You're thinking, wow, how do you regather yourself? So I think some of those minutes, maybe even if you can talk yourself into it, a little bit more valuable in that sense than what I thought just a day or two ago. But at the same time, fortunately, and it does kind of feel like a luxury in a weird way, you've had a lot of practice at this season to kind of adjust from game to game and who's going to be out there in a jersey versus potentially who could be in sweatpants.
Yeah, because if Chance doesn't play, and you're right, and we'll get to that, or is limited, the minutes by Kevin Overton and like the Kerwin Waltons, the Federicos, those would seemingly need to be very productive and potentially valuable. And it's funny because as you look at tonight's opponent, I will tell you that Kerwin, Federico, and Kevin Overton scored all of 0 points in the trip to Tucson. 0. And Chance only scored 8, mind you.
So they're due.
And it was a 9-point loss. But yeah, this is they may get some extra opportunities tonight. And I think they need to make the most of it because that could prove to help you out quite a bit in the coming weeks. One would hope. So,
and I think about it, maybe I'm wrong in this. I think about it more so kind of in a guard sense because I'm getting into that tournament kind of frame of mind. But guys like Overton or Kerwin, what if you could find a little bit of maybe a rhythm or a heater here that you hadn't found during the regular season? Because I don't feel like either one of those guys really ever had a stretch. It would be like here, it's kind of like whack-a-mole, like, okay, here's go off day, here's go off day. But there never was like a week or 14 days or whatever. Maybe I'm just being greedy, but you know what I'm saying? I don't like Federico. I'm not really thinking like maybe he'll go on a tear and he's lights out shooting, which would be a sight. The nation would love it, by the way, if he decided to do that. But I think about some of these guards and maybe some that we hadn't quite seen the best of. You kind of feel like to this point in the season, some more run for them tonight might not be that bad of a thing.
Yeah, and going back to like last night's game versus Baylor, what it ultimately came down to, I feel like you were replaying the Kansas game all over again. And so because I bring it up because tonight may be similar in the thought process. Essentially, what you are doing, okay, now there's more to it than this, but when you dumb it down.
First, today's episode brought to you by Nissan and the Armada Team of the Week, brought to you by our friends at Nissan and the all-new 2025 Nissan Armada. Each week, our Locked On College basketball experts are picking one team that stands apart. This week's Armada and Clear Cut Team of the Week is your Texas Tech Red Raiders, of course, who remain alive in the Big 12 tournament after a win over Baylor with a meeting with Arizona looming large. Will take a heavy-duty effort to keep it going in Kansas City, and you could say the Red Raiders will need to conquer the road with capability and confidence to make that happen, just like the 2025 Nissan Armada. When it comes to the Nissan Armada, they say go forth and conquer, and that's exactly what Tech has done all year long. Clear that the Red Raiders are out here ready to conquer the road with confidence, just like you can in the all-new Nissan Armada or any of Nissan's outstanding vehicles. Take the Nissan Armada, Rogue, or Pathfinder and go find your next big adventure today. Shop NissanUSA.com. Today's episode brought to you by Factor. And eating healthy doesn't have to be complicated. With Factor, you get chef-made, dietitian-approved meals that are ready to heat and eat in only 2 minutes, so you can fuel your body without the hassle of cooking. Factor meals arrive fresh, never frozen, and with 40 options across 8 dietary preferences each week, you can customize your menu to fit your goals, whether that's Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, or even at keto. And it goes beyond only meals. Factor also offers smoothies, breakfast, and snacks, so you always have something nutritious ready to go. Eat smart with Factor and get started at factormeals.com/Factor Podcast and use our code Factor Podcast to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. That's code Factor Podcast at factormeals.com/Factor Podcast to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box.
What you are doing is, if you feel like you can get enough clean looks from behind the arc, like the volume of them, you feel like you've got enough people that will put them in, and then you try to take that away from the opposition, and this will be easier to get done tonight because this is not a great shooting Arizona team. They pound you in the paint. They try to get to the line. They get downhill. They put you on your heels, try to hammer you on the glass, all the things. So last night, I think you make the conscious decision. We're not going to help double Norshad Omier. And he may have a good night, and he did. And then the combination of that and then the free throws that they make is, we'll take our 3-point makes because it was 15-4 as far as 3-point makes. You were plus 11, and they're getting twos and made free throws trying to make up the difference, and it's just like Hunter Dickinson in Lawrence and KJ Adams to a certain extent. You got the volume of threes up, and as long as they're the right looks, more often than not, you've been able to knock enough of them down to where you can outlast a team. And that's kind of what you're staring at tonight. But that's what the game within the game was essentially last night, is that because I kept thinking, okay, they're going to double Omier. He was just he was eating you, but he missed a few, and then you get those rebounds. It was just enough stops. And then obviously you went cold in the second half, and then he kind of cooled off. But in general, that was kind of a lot of the thought. It's a math problem for the opposition when you have, because you're on the cusp. I think Darion Williams is just short, and I'm trying to remember, but you're on the cusp of like 6 different players making, I think, 53s, maybe 5 or 6 making, like you're right there on the cusp of 53-point makes. That is big time. And again, regardless of what kind of defense you see, you're just able to, it's just how good some of your guys are. And then you've got the inside presence of JT, because I thought everybody's fawning all over how unstoppable Norshad Omier is. And JT essentially had a ho-hum 26-10.
Right.
And it cancels it out on the other end. And it's just don't get bored with watching this kid do his thing, man. It is special and just super efficient. So I'm glad he's on my team tonight and next week and the like. So I hope it's next year, but yeah.
And a shout out to the West Virginia fans who are showing up to talk out some of their butt hurtness in our comment section and discuss how unimpressed they were with the 26-10. So it's just always fun to make new friends and good to hear from folks who are struggling and needing help. Yeah, there are a few out there. I don't know where they come from. I don't know, but they were there, and I'm there for them. I'm a man of the people.
I think their football team should spend more time on TikTok.
That's probably not great advice, but for West Virginia specifically, let's try it. That's
a timely comment based on Rich Rod banning it. Yeah, he's really in touch with the college football and just that's That's a strange flex. I'm unimpressed with the 26-10. Is this being frustrated maybe because JT is the Big 12 Player of the Year and Javon Small was not? Is that what I'm
I think that's
understanding? Maybe.
directly what it's tied into, Chris. Yeah, you're
Okay,
sniffing out the trail.
that's
Yeah,
cute. I
hurt
was
feelings.
often I was taught that trying to burn out somebody else's candle doesn't make yours burn any brighter. So maybe, and it takes some of those people an hour and a half to watch 60 Minutes on a Sunday night too. So hey, what are you gonna do?
Wish them well. Bless their hearts.
Or not? I mean, go brush your one tooth and then leave us alone here, please, in this space.
Oh, we appreciate the comment. That's cooking our algorithm up. All right.
Okay, all
Don't
right.
leave us alone.
Sorry, that
Keep
fires
firing
me
away.
up, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
I
got to
don't. I don't really
feed the
want to hear.
beast, feed
Yeah,
the algorithm.
jeez.
Chance
Oh,
McMillian, we feeling any different today than maybe you did last night, better or worse? Just kind of status remaining the same as far as standing by. What do you think?
yeah. So it's funny because I rewatched the game in the middle of the night, just couldn't sleep, and I rewatched it. And there's a point where he's guarding and he kind of gets hit, and he still is playing, but you could just tell like there's a little reaction. And then he drives into the lane at one point and he gets the ball taken. I can't remember the order that these happened. It was the middle of the night. Shoot me. Especially if you're a West Virginia fan, and point a musket at me. I'm sure you'd like to. Um, he gets it taken from him. Omir kind of takes it from him, bumps him, and then he kind of comes out. But this is either like an oblique or a rib or something, because he's kind of over there on the sideline, kind of doing the deep breath, and it looks like it's a bit tricky for him to expand his lungs and kind of take a deep breath. And he just kind of he seemingly was smiling at the end of the game and after the game was over, but it just kind of being a bit ginger with how he carrying himself. So here's what I'm going to say. I would be shocked if he plays tonight, and I'm not sure that even if he was good to go and said, "Come on, coach," and begged you, and he may not be good to go, but if he was, I wouldn't play him anyways. I just don't know. It's just not worth it. It's just not. And I don't. At some point, you gotta throw up a stop sign with something like this, because it's all about next week.
Yeah.
You came here, you won a game. Beating Arizona and beating Houston or BYU tomorrow would be great. And I'm not trying to suggest it would not be. Again, you've never been able to get on that ladder and cut down the net or anything like that. But if it's risking Chance McMillian or whatever the case may be, I just don't see any benefit to it at all. I just don't. And so I would not. And I, based on the way Grant talked about it after the game, I'll be stunned if you see Chance McMillian tonight. I just will, because he's basically saying, I can tell his confidence level. Of course, he wants to play. It's almost like we got to protect him from himself kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I just wouldn't do it. And regardless of the result tonight, I would have zero regret. I don't care if you lose by 30 or win by 30. I wouldn't change any sort of decision on if any question, and there has to be a question. I just wouldn't put him in harm's way. I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah.
As for the matchup tonight, round number 3 between Tech and Arizona, it's border conference beef in the skillet this evening. What was the takeaway regular season wise from what you remember and the way Tech was successful in Lubbock and then come up short in Tucson? First, today's episode brought to you by Monarch Money. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all the money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it can be easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. You're going to love the all-in-one convenience. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money today. Use our code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com and our code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year.
Yeah, tale of two games. This was a, 70-54 in Lubbock. I think you went the last 5 minutes and 16 seconds, and you don't allow them to score a point. And we didn't really know Arizona's legitimacy at that point, although they were ahead of you in the standings. Watching them, it's big and physical and all those things. Then you show up in Tucson and they've got revenge on the mind. They tipped the thing off. It felt like midnight. We've got fire alarms going off and everything in between. They made some threes. As I look at it, though, it was a +20 advantage for them in the paint, and that's what they're going to try to do to you tonight. It's all going to be about the conversation we just had: twos and free throws versus threes. And the Red Raiders made 12 of these in Tucson to Arizona's 4, but they were a +20 in the paint, and they were also a plus. They made 18 free throws, you made 9. So that's kind of the way you're going to go about it. You had all your players at that point. They did not have Trey Townsend playing. He's back and a key piece for them. Yet you're favored here. Vegas thinks you're 2 to 3 points better than Arizona. So we'll see. This is my opinion. I think it will take like a 13, 14 3-point effort tonight to get this done. That's what I think. Without what I'm going to guess is Chance McMillian. And it will take JT doesn't have to go crazy. He's got to have a presence. And then ultimately your Christian Andersons and Kevin Overtons are going to have to be better than they were last night. I thought that was one of the very first times we saw Christian kind of look and feel like a freshman, especially at the end of the game with those 2 free throws. I mean, I'd love to give him those opportunities again. There's no way he's coming up short on those 2 free throws to potentially ice a game. He will learn from that and be better for it. And Kevin Overton just couldn't get it one to fall. He made 4 free throws, but he was 0 for 7 from the field. He's just got to give you more tonight, I think, to make up some of the difference here. And then Federico he only played, I think, like 8 minutes. And I was worried that he was dinged because he's had that knee brace on. But I think Grant, after the game, kind of indicated this was more of a matchup thing. It was more of they got 4 guards out there. So I think he's going to be okay, and he's got to get thrown into the fire tonight and have his presence felt. But you'll more than likely go at this thing with 7, would be my opinion. And we'll just see. But it's going to take some work from deep. And again, you've been able to do it a lot, and you did it for 20 minutes last night, and it had that place jumping. Your record as a school for made threes in a Big 12 tournament game is 12, and you basically tied it with, I think, 6 minutes left to go in the first half. I mean, come on, man. You just got a bunch of skilled guys that they just poured them in, and it was a lot of fun to watch. I mean, I got tired of saying bang, bang, because it was like bang, 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 bang. I mean, you're just dropping them in, and it was coming from everywhere. So see if we can't do it again tonight.
Yeah, if there's a 3-point sponsor for the radio broadcast, they had to be loving that. They were really getting some great exposure, and I would love to see it again. And like I said already once on this episode, more often than not, far more often than not, if you do feel like you got to get into a shooting contest, I'm feeling pretty ambitious. And I don't even know if I want to say it out loud, but I'm still feeling pretty bold, even if Chance McMillian's not included in that, I think. I mean, you've got a collection here, like you already pointed to, guys that are near or topping 50 on the season. You got a collection here of options that can kind of go off at any time. So we'll need to continue to see that, and hopefully we do, because regardless of what the context means for you competitively, I know it would mean a lot of fun in beating Arizona. So hopefully that's what we see coming up. Chris, enjoy the ball game, man. Thanks for squeezing in some time with us here for a look at tonight's matchup and what went down last night. And I still am, I got to be honest, I'm wanting you to hang tight in Kansas City for a little while longer. So let's go ahead and inspire them to another win, spur them on, and we'll talk about it again on the other side.
Okay, man. Well, sounds good. We'll see how far this show keeps going. And yeah, Kansas City bar owners are certainly feeling the pinch because Houston doesn't bring a ton of folks. Texas Tech doesn't have a ton of fans here. BYU fans are here in droves, and yet they're not really going to the bar. Donut shops and things like that totally filled and packed out. But yeah, so yeah, and I didn't know how to feel before I let you go. I didn't know how to feel watching the Arizona Kansas game because I think, although I think it works out better for you because you were going to play a road game tonight. All the Kansas fans, Iowa State fans, everybody's leaving KC and headed back, but it was going to be a road game tonight. But now it'll be against the better team by all the metrics. And so if you don't get it done, it doesn't hurt you. If you do get it done, there's more dividends to be paid, and you don't have to deal with a road crowd, if you will. So,
Yeah.
That's I guess a weird kind of payoff or weird way to look at it, if you will. But hey, man, we'll see if we can't keep it going. It's fun. Just get me home with a mostly healthy team. That's my biggest wish now that you came up here and got a win. And I think you are flirting with that 2 line even more so. Lenardi and Jerry Palm both have moved you up to the 2, and A&M lost. So anyway, you're I don't say you're firmly implanted there, but boy, you're flirting with it. And I think no way you drop lower than a 3 now. I think that's bottom for you, but I think that you're in a pretty good spot for potentially landing on the 2 line here. I bet a win tonight would cement it, maybe, or Sharpie it, whatever. But yeah, we'll see what happens. But man, Cal, appreciate the time. Sorry for the technical difficulties that I've had over the days that I've been here, but we're surviving, we're thriving, and we're adapting. And there we go.
Yeah, and hopefully advancing. You say A&M lost, did you?
I did.
Really? Who was that to? Just any old opponent?
Doesn't matter. A&M lost. I won't get into who beat them, but that was kind of.
Wasn't anybody interesting?
I choose not.
It wasn't like
to
a
run.
Big Brother situation or anything that really just reminded them of their standing in the world, even when they have a great basketball team and maybe
They
Big
did
Brother
not.
doesn't.
I'll just say they did not saw varsity's horns off. Didn't happen. Yeah. So there you go.
My bad. I kind of was in a fog last night, so I didn't catch that. Chris,
Yeah.
appreciate you as always. Appreciate everybody for being out there as always. Thanks for the time. Get subscribed on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts so you never miss an episode. Hello to the everydayers. Thank you for being there once again, and shout out to the Matador Mob as always. Hope you're staying safe if you're in West Texas. It is free exfoliation day, free trampoline day, free carport day, whatever winds up in your yard. Finders, keepers, I think, all across the 806. That's the protocol. Be safe, everybody. Enjoy the weekend and stand by, because as long as the advancing continues, the conversation will continue. So again, make sure you're subscribed right here on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts, so you don't miss a thing as we roll through Big 12 tournament weekend. For Chris, I'm Casey, and we hope to see you back for the next round on Locked On Texas Tech.